Welcome to the Invite Health podcast, where our degreed healthcare professionals are excited to offer you the most important health and wellness information you need to make informed choices about your health. You can learn more about the products discussed in each of these episodes and all that Invite Health has to offer at www.invitehealth.com/podcast. First-time customers can use promo code podcast at checkout for an additional 15% off your first purchase. Let's get started.
Okay, welcome back to part 2 of my episode, How to Deal with Age-Related Muscle Loss. If it gets severe, it's called sarcopenia, and it leads to ill effects. It leads to frailty syndrome, where you shrink, where you develop diabetes, where you could develop heart failure, you become incommunicative, you become inactive, you just want to sit around all day and look at the wall, and all those diseases of aging will rush into your life. So this is part 2, and my name is Jerry Hickey. I'm a nutritional pharmacist. I'm also the senior scientific director. I'm the senior scientific officer and the scientific director over here at Invite Health. Please subscribe to the Invite Health podcast. Please leave us a review. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Invite Health. All of the info on today's episode will be linked in the episode description. You could visit invitehealth.com/podcast for more of this information. So let's get going. So here's another study. I really want to get it clearly across that beta-hydroxy, beta-methyl butyrate should be at the core of regaining muscle and strength and rebuilding muscle and strength in aging people, holding onto muscle and strength, helping prevent the breakdown of muscle in aging people. So here's BMC geriatrics, and they're looking at people 70 years of age or older living in nursing homes. It's part of the HEAL study. This is the Human Performance and Sports Science Laboratory at the University of Murcia. That would be in Murcia, Spain. Spain's a lovely country, really worth seeing. So they said exercise, and it's abbreviated HMB. Exercise and HMB supplementation are separately effective in improving the strength and the health of older people. So is it even better if you combine them? That's what they're looking at. And these are frail older adults. They're developing frailty syndrome, so they're in trouble. It's a 24-week study, double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled study. 104 adults that are fragile, they're frail, they're feeble, they're over the age of 70. And they found that, hey, this stuff is really helping. Even people who are frail, when they're put through a guided exercise program, it can mean something. It can mean something. Now, this is reporting all early on in this HEAL study. This is early on reporting on this HEAL study. It's not published yet. So here's beta-hydroxy, beta-methyl butyrate and its impact on muscle and function in clinical practice. And I'm reading it to you because it's a systematic review and meta-analysis. Once again, that means they went through all these different websites that collate research. They plucked out all the studies on HMB and physical function in doctors, in a doctor situation, like in a clinic. And they said, hey, here are the good studies. Do they mean something? So this is the National Institute for Health Research and Biomedical Research Center in King's College, London, and also the Department of Human Nutrition and Dietetics. And they found 15 human clinical trials, high-quality trials, 15 randomized controlled human clinical trials that included 2,137 patients. And they found that HMB alone or HMB with exercise improves muscle mass. Even just taking HMB without exercise helps restore muscle and strength in aging people. So they said there's strong evidence to support improving muscle strength and increasing muscle mass. So, and this is in a variety of clinical conditions. I mean, these are not healthy people. So here's older people who are diseased. Right now they're looking at HMB and people who are suffering with cachexia with different diseases. Cachexia is severe muscle loss and weight loss, like your body is cannibalizing your body proteins, your muscle. You see that in people with advanced cancer or advanced HIV or advanced lung diseases or terrible diseases of the intestines where they're just wasting away. It's called cachexia. So these are people with diseases. It's Texas A&M University, their Department of Health and Kinesiology, and also their Center for Translational Research in Aging and Longevity. And they're talking about HMB. You know, leucine is converted to HMB, how HMB improves the health and the outcomes in older people with different diseases. So they said HMB supplementation, once again, this is Texas A&M down in College Station, Texas. HMB supplements resulted in positive outcomes on muscle mass and function. It has anabolic activity, means it's building muscle, and anti-catabolic activity means it's preventing the loss of muscle. So it's doing both. It's preventing a loss of muscle, and it's shifting it to building muscle in older, weakened, frail, not well-functioning people. And HMB works better than leucine because it lasts in the body a lot longer. And they found that if you add it to exercise or you add it to physical therapy or you add it to our rehabilitation program, let's say in stroke survivors, they do much better. It enhances their recovery from illness. It enhances their recovery from medical procedures like, surgeries. It improves bone density, by the way. There's promising evidence that HMB not only helps prevent the breakdown of muscle and helps rebuild muscle, but it also improves bone density. So I guess it's improving the impact of exercise on your bones. It improves cognitive function, brain function. Well, that makes sense because branched-chain amino acids are important for brain energy. It reduces abdominal obesity. It burns fat. You don't need the fat on your belly. And this is really important in an older diseased population. So, I mean, there's well-established properties, pharmacological effects with HMB. It really means something. So here at Texas A&M, they're working on older disease state people. So here's HMB decreased mortality among recently hospitalized, malnourished elderly subjects. Okay? Elderly subjects who are malnourished and they're hospitalized, HMB was keeping them alive. It's already been studied in sarcopenia, muscle loss, healthy aging. It's way ahead of curve. I mean, most of the stuff, they use HMB in gyms. You know, the gym rats use HMB to build muscle. If you took 100 products used in a gym, maybe 3 of them work. Okay, maybe 3 of them work. Creatine monohydrate, HMB, and protein. That's what works. Most of the other stuff you could flush down the toilet. But there are non-gym related supplements that help, once again. Vitamin D, calcium, fish oils, and foods like drinking green tea, eating green leafy vegetables for a number of reasons. They all have an impact on muscle. So they said, here's what they said. HMB has been shown to reduce muscle atrophy during bed rest. You lose 92% less muscle. In older people who are stuck in bed, they lose 92% less muscle if they're giving 3,000 milligrams of HMB every day. And then they go on, it's an aid to subsequent muscle gains during rehabilitation. HMB in combination with arginine and glutamine has been shown to restore lean body mass in cachexia due to cancer. So you could get arginine and glutamine in whey protein, so it's another reason why mixing HMB with whey protein is good. So once again, that's cachexia due to cancer. That's that severe loss of cannibalizing your body tissues when you have cancer and you're just wasting away. But they also found it helps prevent wasting syndrome in people with rheumatoid arthritis. And in critically ill trauma patients, people in the intensive care units, people in critical care, people in the emergency rooms, it helps keep them alive. So this is the Journal of Clinical Nutrition. It's a report on the Nourished study. Nourish, the nutrition effect on unplanned readmissions and survival in hospitalized patients. So these are older people, critically ill, admitted to the hospital, they're undernourished. Giving them HMB, did it prevent readmissions? No, but it prevented them from dying, and that's what you need. It was supported by Abbott Nutrition. The study was multi-center, randomized, placebo-controlled, parallel group study conducted all over the United States. And they found that high protein, so once again whey protein, vitamin D, and HMB, when combined after discharge, didn't really affect readmission that much, but it did affect survival, and that's what's important. It decreased overall mortality over the 3-month period. I mean, this stuff is real. Here's a follow-up on that study. Oral supplement associated with 50% lower deaths in older malnourished patients. So this is the Journal of Clinical Nutrition looking at that study, giving protein, vitamin D, and beta-hydroxy methyl butyrate, calcium form, and it cut down on dying by 50% in these frail older people that were discharged from intensive care units. It cut down 50% on dying over a 90-day period. These people had heart disease, these people had lung disease, they had heart failure. I mean, it really means something. They're also showing that HMB supports circulation. So here's the University of Alabama. It increased flow-mediated dilation by 27%. That's fantastic. It's in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition. I don't know why the University of Alabama has to publish in Europe. They should publish here. But HMB improved blood flow. That's one reason why it's good for your muscles. If you improve blood flow to the muscles get more oxygen, they get more nutrition, they get more calories, and it's flushing out the acid, lactic acid, so you don't hit a wall and you get a better workout. So that's one reason why it would be helpful. So listen to this. This is the last thing I'm going to read you. A U.S. study reveals that out of more than 250 dietary products tested, the gym stuff, only HMB and creatine supplements have sufficient scientific evidence to show that their use increases lean body mass and strength. Now, that was done before all the studies were done on creatine. So now we know that creatine, monohydrate, I want to reiterate these things, HMB, whey protein, vitamin D, calcium, fish oils build muscle. We also know that green tea helps. We also know that ubiquinol, the active form of coenzyme Q10, helps. Now, I promised to go over stretching. Stretching, muscles are bunches of fibers, okay? When you're moving, when you're exercising, your muscles quickly get smaller and bigger. So like, you're running a race, you're stretching and shrinking the muscles. When you do this regularly, it becomes easier to exercise. It becomes easier. So when you're stretching before exercise, it helps prevent cramps and it makes it easier to exercise. The thing is, don't do static stretches before an exercise. Do moving stretches, like twisting your torso and moving your arms in circles and stuff like that. So don't do static where you're holding the stretch for a half a minute or anything like that. Do moving types of stretches. After the exercise, you could do a static stretch. But you also want to prevent the Charlie horses. Stretching helps with that. So do like fruits and vegetables. The colors in fruits and vegetables are polyphenols and carotenoids. They're anti-inflammatory in your blood vessels and your muscles. So that helps you with exercise, and that helps you with your muscle health, and that helps prevent Charlie horses. But they also supply electrolytes. Now, electrolytes could be potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium, chloride. You don't get a lot of sodium and chloride from fruits and vegetables. You get very little. But you are getting magnesium and potassium, which is very important to prevent muscle cramps. So having an apple, having an orange, that's very good when you exercise. Having a banana, having green leafy vegetables, you get your electrolytes, but it's also reducing inflammation in your muscles, and it's also supporting circulation around the body. So if you've ever had a Charlie horse, it's a horrible thing. A lot of people get them when they wake up in the morning. Like some people get them in their toes, some people get them in their calves. It could be your body's telling you that you're dehydrated. Now, this is important because we're talking about older people losing muscle. Older people also lose their thirst reflex. In other words, they don't realize they're thirsty. If you put a 70-year-old man or woman on a treadmill next to a 40-year-old man or woman, the 40-year-old will be a lot thirstier and drink a lot more water after the exercise. So older people just have to keep that on their mind. Drink fluids. And fluids help prevent cramps because cramps happen more frequently when you're dehydrated. Also, we're in the summer here. It's been very hot through many parts of the country. It's been very humid. Humidity with heat is dangerous. If it's extreme heat, like 100 degrees, and you're near the ocean and it's humid, the humidity seals in the heat, and your body, it's harder to cool down. It's actually harder to cool down. I'll tell you something else. Remember we had that heat dome in the Northwest at the start of summer, and a lot of people died? There's a reason for that. Have you ever noticed in the winter, if it's 50 degrees, you feel warm, but in the summer, if it drops to 50 degrees, you're freezing? Your body adjusts to temperatures. So your body also adjusts to heat and humidity. How? Normally, if you're not conditioned to heat, you sweat about 1 liter per hour. But people who are acclimated to heat and humidity can sweat 3 liters an hour. And sweat is the number one way that you have your body's air conditioning. It's the number one way that you cool down your body. So the reason why later on in the summer you can handle the heat better is your body has acclimated to it and you sweat 3 liters of water per hour instead of 1 liter. That's why when you go down to Florida in July and you meet a Floridian, they're not dying from the heat. They might know it's hot, but they're not dying from it, and you just want to stay in the shade. But fluid is really, really important, and those electrolytes are really important for preventing Charlie horses. Now, there are drugs that cause Charlie horses, like statin drugs that control your cholesterol, and so do diuretics. Diuretics cause it because you're losing body fluid and you're losing electrolytes. So just keep that in mind. So many studies showing there are certain nutrients that help you recover strength and muscle as you grow older. At the core of that should be HMB. You need 3,000 milligrams a day. 3,000. You could take it in divided doses, like 1.5 grams twice a day. You can use creatine monohydrate unless you have kidney damage. If you have kidney damage, don't use creatine monohydrate because it's excreted through the kidneys and it'll build up, and you don't want that. So people with reduced kidney function cannot use creatine monohydrate. For the rest of us, it restores muscle energy faster. We get a better workout. We get more strength out of the workout. So I tell people 3,000 milligrams of HMB, 5,000 milligrams of creatine monohydrate. Make sure these are good quality products. Depends on your diet, but adding whey protein, 15 to 30 grams after the workout. Why after the workout? After the workout, your muscle fibers open up and it's easier to get all of these nutrients back into your muscles. So the best time to take these is after exercise. Vitamin D3, that's the best form of vitamin D. I would say about 2,000 units a day for most people. You have to increase that in the winter. Calcium, most people 1,000 milligrams of calcium a day is plenty. Fish oils, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of EPA DHA a day. If it's krill oil, you can use less because it's more efficiently absorbed by and utilized by humans. So with krill oil, you can use less and get the same boost for your muscles. A couple of cups of green tea a day, put lemon in it, not milk, because that tends to protect the ingredients that are good for your muscles. That'll do it. That'll really help bring back your muscle and your strength, even if you don't exercise, but you should exercise. And you should stretch. And you should eat your fresh fruits and fresh vegetables for the electrolytes. You're not going to get a lot of sodium there, but you'll get sodium in like a piece of cheese and soup and stuff like that. You get plenty of sodium. So thanks for tuning into the Invite podcast. You can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts, or visit invitehealth.com /podcast. We have about 400 podcasts up there. Please subscribe and leave us a review. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Invite Health. Hope to see you next time on another episode of the Invite Health Podcast, and thank you so much for listening. Jerry Hickey signing off.